Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We've got the questions here. We've got Craig and Stevie in the studio, and we've got Frank back in France and Gab Marcotti back in London as
That's
well.
where we like them.
Dancing away.
Back in France.
Did you?
Where we like them. Back in France.
All right, I don't think he heard you. All right, first question.
Oh, he did.
Oh, he hit.
He did, aye.
Don't you worry about
Get his
that.
mush.
Don't you worry.
It's much. Gab, if De Bryune ends up leaving Man City for Al Ittihad, who will Man City target to replace him at the club? Musiala, Wirtz, or Simmons? Who else?
Well, I don't think they're going to move for Musiala because he costs an arm and a leg. I mean, Xavi Simons is obviously somebody who's made it clear that, you know, he's not necessarily going to go back to home base. So I think he's going to be on the market. I think he could definitely be he could definitely be an option. But personally, I don't think De Bryune. I think De Bryune is sticking around another season.
Okay. Start, bench, and drop in their prime: Raúl, González, Batistuta, and Shearer.
Ooh.
Oh, Frank, you can take it.
For who?
Raúl. I'm one who.
Oh, Raúl, yeah.
I don't know.
González through you.
I was the Raúl. Huh?
Raúl.
That's a tough
It's maybe because I love Batistuta, Gabriel, and we met in Qatar. He's such a lovely person, but I saw him playing for Fiorentina, Roma. The guy he had something special. Because Shearer broke my nose twice, I will drop him. But it's hard to not start Raúl with the career that he had and all the silverware that he had. But I will make my decision. I will start Gabriel Batistuta. I will bench Raúl and I will drop Alan Shearer. Alan.
Yeah, a little bit of bias there. Have you got a thought on this?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah, it's hard to go against Raúl. At the end of the day, I think I agree with Frank. Raúl. I might go with Shearer second though. Just as an all-round player, I think Shearer was better than Batistuta. Batistuta's finishing was frightening. I mean, frightening. But I think as a more rounded footballer, that's why I would go with Shearer second.
I agree with you too.
What does Gab Marcotti say about this?
Yeah, Alan Shearer never broke my nose, and I'm a massive fan. And he's a wonderfully rounded player, but I still got to go with the Lion King, Batigol, just simply because the emotions he engenders beyond all the goals he scores and everything that he's achieved. Plus, he's a lovely guy, as is Alan Shearer, as is Raúl as well. I've had the privilege of meeting all three of them. But I'd go Bati, Shearer, Raúl.
For Gab, who do you think will finish higher in Serie A this upcoming season, Milan or Juve?
Ooh.
I would think Milan. I mean, we got to see how these pieces fall into place. Obviously, they've already had their upgrade with Morata. I mean, Milan will have more continuity in the coaching as well, because Pioli to Fonseca, I don't think is a huge step. They know how they want to play. They've hung on to obviously a lot of their stars and want to upgrade elsewhere. Juve, they've done a handbrake turn here with Thiago Motta. They're going in a very, very different direction. They have a whole bunch of players that they need to shift before they can sign new ones. It's year zero. It's a rebuild. Now Juve will still be competitive because Juve are always competitive. But I would expect, as of right now, July 21st, Milan to finish up well ahead of them.
There's a lot of questions for you today, Gab. Gab, Bologna lost Motta, Xerxes and soon Calafiori after making the Champions League for the first time in 60 years. Has the difference in revenue between top clubs and middling clubs ruined football?
Like it's been like this for a long time. And you know, it's funny. I've written about this the same way some people talk about income inequality in real life. You know, we always had bigger clubs and smaller clubs, right? But we have numbers. So when Stevie was at Liverpool and they were dominating everything in Europe and in England, the reality is their wage bill, their spending might have been 3-4 times that of the bottom team in the league. Now you have some leagues where Paris Saint-Germain in France and it's 40 times the bottom team. You know, routinely, the gap between the so-called Big Six in England, and I know Newcastle and Villa are trying to close it and whatever else, and the rest of the league, you know, they're factors of 3, 4, 5, 8. It's almost like we're playing two different sports. It's the, you know, it's the old saying of, you know, people born on third base thinking they've hit a triple. It's not ruining the sport because you still enjoy it. It's still fun to watch, but the reality is that the gap has grown much, much, much bigger than it has ever been. And there doesn't seem to be much appetite from anyone to really go and address this.
Since it's Craig's last day before vacation, can we get his pick and everyone else's for the Ballon d'Or?
Rodri.
Oh.
Rodri.
No. Carvajal.
Who?
Carvajal.
My
The
friend.
way don't be so daft.
Carvajal.
I just off
Carvajal.
I like Carvajal, but you know, like, yeah.
He won everything. He won everything this year.
I
Craig?
mean, I'm easy.
Rodri,
I
Carvajal.
like Rodri's. I don't know. I think he's been terrific for a long time. He probably won't win it. Who's putting the goals in that's probably going to win it? That's what it's.
Bellingham.
Vinny's the favourite.
Vinny's the favourite.
Vinny's the favourite.
Over Bellingham.
Nah.
Bellingham's up there. But
How
he's
can
the
Vinny be
favourite
the
over him.
favourite over
Bellingham's
Bellingham?
third
Well,
favourite.
Bellingham actually had a. I'm not saying poor. He had a quieter second half of the season at Real Madrid. Not bad, obviously he's first, but there was no way he was going to keep that going. We were every week we were watching it, and then he had a very poor Euros. I mean, England got to the final, but he, amongst with others, had a poor, by his standards. He scored a couple of goals, but didn't play particularly well.
Vinny had a rotten Copa, and he got suspended. So
That's why I said Rodri.
So we have to call it the forward Ballon d'Or. You know, in that way of thinking, because I'm sorry, Vinny, okay, won the Champions League, won the Liga, but has been pretty not good, I would say, in CONMEBOL. But Bellingham wasn't good at the Euro, and you have at least two guys, because we can put Rodri with, he didn't win the Champions League, but has been absolutely outstanding and the best player in the Euro, won the Premier League. And then you have that Carvajal. Yeah, nobody likes Carvajal because, I don't know, he hasn't got anything. He plays left back. He's like our time right back, sorry. It's like our time right back, dirty, tricky, whatever he is. But the guy won everything. So you can tell me what it is, if it's the Ballon d'Or of some people or the Ballon d'Or for all people,
Do you know,
all football players.
if
It's that case,
If you have a little bit of sentimental in you like me, what are you laughing at?
they don't go together. Those two words don't go together when it comes to
On this occasion, what are you laughing at, Frankie? Was the,
I'm right.
have you
I agree with Stevie.
If you have a little bit of the sentimental side to you, which has nothing to do with this, I know, Toni Kroos. Bowing out of football after an illustrious career, in the season where he came back to the German side, they were good to watch.
Well, but that would
won the Champions League.
Craig, that wouldn't be a Ballon d'Or. That would be a tribute Ballon d'Or.
Well, but Toni Kroos
So the
was
forward Ballon
Toni
d'Or,
Kroos
we have the
was-
tribute Ballon d'Or.
Toni Kroos was really, really good. Real Madrid are going to have a big task replacing him this year with Tchouaméni, Camavinga, whoever wants to play in that position. Sure. He was instrumental in winning the Champions League, winning the Liga, and Germany wanted him back because he was still controlling games. He's gone out, he's bowed out at the very, very top. And he was still, he wasn't as mobile as he was 5 or 6 years ago, but he was fantastic.
I really love about you, Craig, just how sentimental you are.
Big softy.
It's really one of his best
Yeah.
qualities.
Well, wait till
Okay.
the Ballon d'Or comes around. I'm going to kick it to pieces.
Gab, who's your pick?
Look, I hate to sound like Craig, even kinder Craig, the pre-holiday Craig. But this is so stupid. The way we all get bent over backwards on this popularity contest. If people knew the voting mechanism, if people know the people who vote on this and how some of them really don't watch much football at all, and we're sitting there guessing. It's like the Academy Awards where we're like, should win, will win. I like Greg, I really couldn't care less. If I had a vote, and I don't, I would probably give it to Rodri or Kroos just because. But look, I feel like for all these years, when it was Cristiano or Messi, you really couldn't screw this one up, right? Because if it's not one guy, it's the other guy. Now that they're gone and everybody's flawed, and we're seeing the flaws up close. Look, Jude Bellingham isn't a cyborg. Oh, look, Vinicius gets himself suspended, has bad games, disappears sometimes. Oh, look, Toni Kroos is really old. It's ridiculous. For me, it just makes me appreciate Cristiano and Messi even more. That even when they had bad seasons, they were still legit Ballon d'Or candidates. Now, with this bunch, I genuinely don't know. It probably should be Rodri. It won't be Rodri. But yeah.
Gab, do you see any resolution in sight for Barcelona's financial troubles, or is this likely to be the new norm for years/decades to come?
Well, gee, I don't know. When you pull a lever and you decide to, hey, let me get a whole bunch of money right now and spend it all on old players and bad players, and then I'll have less money every year for the next 25 years. Not much of a business plan, is it? I don't know. I mean, look, it's going to help when they move back to the Camp Nou. They'll have more revenue. It helps, frankly, and I say this with all the love in the world in La Liga, that they play in La Liga, which means that they'll always qualify for the Champions League every year, so they'll have that money coming in, and they'll probably always finish in the top 2, top 3, although Atleti have a whole bunch of issues as well, so it's probably going to be top 2 going forward. It's hard to see how they're going to get out of this without monetizing one of their prime assets. But the problem is, you look at it and, do you want to sell Pedri? No. Do you want to sell Gavi? No. Do you want to sell Lamine Yamal? Hell no. And then what do? What players do you have that you sacrifice where you say, let me shift this guy for 100 and then I'll go and buy 3 or 4 guys? They're really, really in a big, big hole. And I think there's a lot of people kind of living in La La Land who don't seem to understand the poor choices that obviously Laporta inherited a hideous situation from Bartomeu, but I think his choices, his rolling the dice like it was a casino, have made the situation worse, and they've really made things a lot tougher for the club.
Another question for Gab. With all the moving around in your life and varied national influences, how is it that your regular speaking voice is perfectly American?
American?
Is it perfectly
university.
American? I like to think
That's
of
what
it more
Mitch
as mid-Atlantic.
Sounds English to me.
No, I always went to international schools or American schools growing up, and this is kind of most of my teachers spoke a little bit like I speak, and then I went to college and grad school in the US, and this is why I do not speak with an exaggerated Italian accent. So yeah.
What does it sound to you,
think
Frank?
that was
Does he
Italian?
sound English or American?
That was Welsh, Gab.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
it sounds it sounds neutral. I would say that I feel a little bit, I sense a little bit of English, I would say, accent, but I'm really amazed, and I have to say that I went into Wikipedia to know how come it was so perfect in English, whether it could be American or English, coming from an Italian guy. I mean, I'm very impressed with the way Gabi expressed himself in English. So yeah, It's amazing. But I know that he went to university, American university. He lives in London, so he can mix. And I'm sure he can do Italian accent, English accent, American accent. And he speaks a little bit of French as well. You have to know that.
You've missed out Japanese.
Son un peu.
Is that right, Gab?
Japanese?
I lived in Tokyo for 4 years. Yes, I can get by in a basic conversation.
James Bond, citizen of the world.
Wow.
The new Bond, Gab Marcotti. All right, Gab.
But does he speak the smoggy? Does he speak the smoggy?
No one can do our accent. No one can do it. Even the best impressionists can't do it. All right, Gab. Between Stevie, Craig, and Frank, who do you think has scored the most goals in their career?
Who scored the most goals in their career between Stevie,
Craig, and Frank. Yeah,
and
between
Craig.
the panelists tonight.
Well, I never took penalties. The two of them took
I
penalties.
sense this is a trick question, and I remember that
I don't know the
Frank
answer.
played as an attacking
Could be Frank.
midfielder until David Ginola came along and ruined it for him. And obviously Frank took a ton of penalties in his career. Is it Frank?
What do you guys think it would be, Frank? It is Frank. Frank Leboeuf, 96 career goals. Stevie, 45.
That's wrong.
Craig, 40. Why is it wrong, Stevie?
That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. I scored 115 goals in my career.
That's our research department.
I scored 46 for Liverpool alone. And I scored some goals for other clubs I played for. So that's wrong. It's Frank. At the end of the day, it's still Frank. But that's wrong.
It is wrong.
But the order's right.
I don't know.
Neither do I.
Don't care. I don't know.
All right. Red card.
Can I just
Gab,
say
what
that
do you
I only...
think?
Oh, that's me too, I guess.
Come on.
I would guess it's Frank, yes. Visions of Frank chasing after a striker, pulling him down. Yeah, Frank.
I'll need to.
Although Craig did it on a bigger
Well,
stage.
that's not too bad.
See, that's wrong. That's wrong.
Our research department
It's wrong
again,
again.
Craig. Maybe the outage has caused all sorts of problems.
I don't have one red card. I had 2 red cards.
Stevie, never a single
I
red
had maybe
card.
more.
Well, the truth is, though, when I was playing, you had to perform grievous bodily harm to get a red card. So that's probably why I'm getting on.
What was your favourite red card of the two?
World Cup. If you're going to do it on, you got to do it on
Style.
the biggest
May
stage.
as well make it work
There's
well.
no point doing it on a cold night in Stoke.
All right. Well, we've got to go and have a word with our research department.
We haven't got one.
I think you need to.
And whatever one we've got needs scrap.
Yeah.